Hello, good evening and welcome to my humble model railway, Bedstead Junction. Now what we're looking at is a locomotive I've just received today in the post. Now it came with 4 coaches, okay, and it was actually advertised as a box. Well, the locomotive was box, but the coaches were not. That's not a problem. And it was advertised as being running, but weathered, okay, and it has received some weathering on it. I can see light weathering. First weathered locomotive I've ever had. I don't know whether I think it's been hand weathered by somebody, by a previous owner. But we'll have a quick look at her, and we'll talk about the what these were used for on the Somerset and Dorset Joint Railway. Now, like I say, it's a Jinty. It's an 060, designed by Henry Fowler, and what we're going to do now is have a quick, now you can see SDJR down the sides there, okay, Somerset and Dorset Joint Railway. You can see the dome there in the chimney. It's all in basically either Prussian blue or black. It looks like, well, it looks more black than anything, this particular locomotive does. And then we'll look down the front there. Now we're going to lower down the tripod in just a moment. This is more of a view from above. Okay, it gives you a chance to see the actual safety valves, the whistles and everything else. There are whistles towards the back of the cab, towards the front of the cab there, sorry. And they looks like they've been partially weathered as well. But they look, they're in actual metal. The buffers are metal. But they're not sprung. And I wouldn't expect to find that. I mean, this is certainly from the Hornby Railroad range here. Okay, SDJR down there as well, down there, down the side. Now the coal load itself, that looks a little bit lumpy to me. Thought of coal in there. Might not be able to see that too clearly there. What we're going to do is we're going to bring the tripod down to get a lower level view of her. Okay, so just bring just a moment, going down. Oh yeah, about there would be about right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. She's on the Lazy Susan, of course. And we'll just turn around. Now, one thing you don't get on this particular model locomotive is any cab detail. It is all in black in there. You wouldn't expect to get that on a Hornby Railroad model. Okay, so that's something I wasn't surprised about. You can see it's number 24. And you can clearly see the SDJR livery there as well. Somerset and Dorset Joint Railway. So I think they carried this livery up until about 1930, when the Somerset and Dorset Joint Railway actually lost its identity, and then all the engines were actually had NMS livery on them, the Midland Railway NMS livery. Looking at the front, there's a little, obviously with a dark coloured locomotive, it's hard to see, but there's a nice little rail on the front there. Also it's got the metal buffer, it's not sprung like we say. The buffer beam looks like it's been weathered as well. Got the standard Hornby coupling on it as well. Going around this to the side, SDJR again. Number 24. And you can clearly see there the cab is not painted in any way. You can see it's all black in there. You can see the coal load a little bit better now. I think it don't look too bad from here actually. That's quite alright. And on the back of the engine you can see, I think there's a lamp iron there. Some lamp irons. Usual little hook on the buffer beam as well, and again metal buffers. Realise nice little locomotive. You can clearly see it there in all its glory. The 060 wheel configuration. I'm going to put her onto the track in just a moment as well, and we're going to have a little look at what came with it, because it did come with coaches. And what we'll do as well, we'll have a look at the box it came in and stuff like that, for those of you who are interested in boxes. I always like to have a box of my locomotives, must say. So let's have a look and just see now. We'll point up the tripod. There you can see the coaches there. I'm not sure if they're the dark enough to be Prussian blue, but I mean they're blue coaches. I think they're generic Hornby coaches, four-wheeled coaches there. But they're perfectly fine for my purposes. It's hard to get, unless you're willing to do a lot of painting yourself or everything else, it is hard to get hold of Somerset and Dorset joint railway liveried coaches. There were some made by Dapol, but they're hard to find. Really, really hard to find. Okay, so without any further ado, I think we'll add our engine on. We'll have a little talk about her and everything else. So let's see now. Just pop the coaches back a little bit. There we go. Just remove the Lazy Susan. That's a bit closer to the side of the track. Okay, so maybe to see how she runs. Okay, so put her into reverse. We'll see if we can couple up. It might need a bit of extra persuasion. No, I think I coupled up. Okay, and round we come. Okay, quite a nice little runner. I ran it straight from the box. I mean, it appears to be, didn't need any additional lubrication or anything. See it going through our country station over there. Superb. I didn't get any instructions with it, unfortunately, but I'm going to try and print those off later on. I can see the actual locomotive itself is clearly from the Hornby railroad range. Okay, came with a plastic sort of polystyrene padded. You can see is R2882 S&D Jinty 060T Class 3F. There we are, by Hornby. Now these engines were used for shunting. Some were designed to pull freight. Some pulled passenger trains on branch lines. So they were literally did everything. Now if you have a look at the videos which are the films which are shot by Ivo Peters, you'll see that in the main these locomotives on Somerset and Dorset, and certainly when Ivo was filming, they were used as bankers. It just had a bit of a stutter on the point there. But you know, I've not had a chance to service or clean anything or check anything out yet, so, and it could have been just a point over there as well. Sometimes you get a bit of a stickiness on the points. Yeah, designer was Henry Fowler. They were introduced in 1924 and the power classification was a 3F. 3F making it a freight engine. Drive wheel diameter 4'7". Cylinders 2 inside 18-inch diameter by 26-inch stroke. Full gear Stevenson. Boiler pressure 160 pound per square inch. The great area 16 square feet. Traffic effort 20,830 pounds. Number built 422. Now you might have thought I got a great fantastic encyclopedic knowledge of everything, but there is a book I can recommend, as very often I will recommend a book. Classic Locomotives from 1850 to the present day, Dennis Griffiths. Okay, and you can see that's an engine there. I don't know whether or not it's preservation, but it's saying it's pulling the Point Express. Well, there we are, and there's our little our details about the Jinty there. Okay, so that's how I was able to bring you these particular facts. Now, these were not withdrawn until 1967. Obviously that's when the steam was actually coming to an end. So from 1924 to 1967, that's quite a few years to actually be serving on the railways. Oh yeah, the number built 422. I don't know if I've already said that, but it proves quite a useful engine they were. Obviously, one of the unglamorous, unsung heroes of the Midland Railway. You would have seen more glamorous engines on there, obviously, like the Coronation class and things like that. Jubilees. Certainly on the Somerset and Dorset Joint Railway, the main freight engines would have been the 7Fs. These have been used as banking engines. Okay, so you would have seen them used as bankers. Now this brings my total of Somerset and Dorset Joint Railway engines up to 3, if you count my collet goods, which was used on the Somerset and Dorset Joint Railway after the Western Region of British Rail took control of the Somerset and Dorset Joint Railway. The collet goods were also used on the branch. As a matter of fact, what I'm tempted to do is to bring out the collet goods in a moment and give that a little run on the railway. What we're going to do is, it's a little bit of a running session as well, because obviously I can't really give you much detail about these, apart from the fact that they ran on the Somerset and Dorset Joint Railway. They were used used a lot as I think they were used to pull passengers things as well. If I remember rightly, I'd always seen in a film, I can't remember if it was Ivos or not, they were showing a local service being run from Bath Green Park to Vinegar. I think on that they were putting just a one coach train. Now also what I've been able to do since I made my last video about the 2P locomotive, I actually managed to get hold of some Midland Railway coaches. Obviously in my last one, if you saw it, you would have seen that I was, well, on the 2P review, it was putting some Great Western Clarressery coaches. That would have been unlikely to be seen on the Somerset and Dorset Joint Railway. Okay, so a very nice model. I don't think I really need to do anything with this particular model. Obviously a little bit different in the fact that someone's actually given it some weathering. Well, it looks quite nice, I think, putting the 4 blue coaches there. Like I say, I don't know if they would have had coaches like this on the Somerset and Dorset Joint Railway. Hornby and certainly Hattons are about to be making some Genesis coaches. They may do Genesis coaches in the Somerset and Dorset Joint Railway livery, and if they do, I will be getting them. But until then, these Hornby coaches will be absolutely fine on my railway, I think. Now, what we're going to be doing in just a moment, we'll be going over to the Class 2P. What you need to do, I think, to actually see on these particular models, is to see what these particular they look like on points. Okay, how do they do on points? And you'll be just about to find out in just a few moments. We'll let it go around just one more time. So we're going to slow her down now. You can see how she runs slowly. It did stutter over the points, I did notice a couple of times, but it may have been just a temporary glitch, maybe where the locomotive's not been run for some considerable time. We shall stop it just before the junction, bring the camera around to the junction, and then we can watch her go into the station. You can also see my Class 2P there in the station as well. Okay, so let's see how we do. I think it handled the junction rather well. You can see the train now looking rather splendid in its station. Now the 2P, you'll have a more detailed review of that in another video, which I've already done. You can see our 2P looking rather splendid there in the station. Now these coaches were advertised as a job lot in the wrong boxes. Okay, they're DAPL coaches, Midland Railway, well, NMS coaches, but they've come, but they're definitely in the wrong boxes. Nothing much I can do about that, so obviously I can't tell you what the descriptions of them are exactly. But the boxes came in good condition, as you can see. And there's basically three more like that. I mean, according to this, I've got a Suburban brake. I don't know if I have got these actual ones. They say because they've got the wrong boxes. Another Suburban brake. And a Suburban composite, but I don't know. I mean, I don't know what these are. Now these had a bit of a problem, these coaches, when I first took delivery of them today. And we're going to change the points. We're going to give this a little run, and I'll talk a little bit about these coaches as well. Just change the points. Now these particular coaches had problems when I first had them. What they did, the train seems to stop all by itself. I couldn't figure out what was going on, but it would appear that the wheels were not rotating very well on the coaches. So what I did, I actually gave them a good spin and a drop of oil, and they appear to be okay now. So if we get a derailment or a load of nonsense going on, then please forgive me if I do. But they were running well up until a little while ago. So now we just check these points are actually over right, because I can't see any life coming out of the engine. There we go. Sack the signal on, I set the points wrong. Well, there we are. We can see it going over the points there quite well now. Like I say, these coaches were really misbehaving when I first put them on the track. And like I say, what I've been able to do is put a little bit of oil on them and give them a good spin in a way, and we seem to be running reasonably well now. You see it just reversed over those points quite well. Now I've noticed what they've done on these. These are DAPL. They're very similar to the Airfix coaches. In fact, it wouldn't surprise me if Airfix came out with these first of all. The couplings are like the Airfix style couplings, and they're quite small. I've noticed on one of the coaches someone's actually changed the coupling, a bit like I did on my auto coach. If you saw my review of the auto coaches by Airfix and DAPL, I had to change the coupling on one of them to actually get them to couple up correctly with the train. But here we go with our Class 2P. Our nice little running session here. I can see now our Midland Railway coaches are running quite well now through the station. I should fly around the railway there. Now, towards the end of the Somerset and Dorset Joint Railway, certainly when Ivo Peters was making his videos, these Class 2Ps were no longer the main engines. Okay, I think what would happen was was that in the 1930s the track was upgraded. It certainly was on the branch from Mangotsfield to Bath Green Park, and certainly from on in with certain upgrades, they were allowed to take heavier trains on the lines. Up until then, I think that the 440s were the top engines. They were these Class 2Ps ended up being used as assistant engines. They had a load limit of 200 tonnes. The last Pines Express, I think it was one of the last the last Pines Express put 400 tonnes, I think, and that was behind the Class 9F. So you see that train load had increased dramatically. Now, one thing I've noticed about these coaches, and again I'm not going to lose too much sleep over it, because some of my other dapper ones do this, as they come off that point up in the corner, you get a bit of a wobble. So I should imagine if any of these passengers have got a cup of coffee there, you see that back one wobble like crazy there. It's just one of those things. I'll see if I can actually do something to actually improve that on there. But again, these 3 coaches, I think they came boxed, and they were quite cheap. I can't remember how much I paid for them now. I mean, with all the crazy prices that which are happening now at the moment, we'll just have a quick look and just see. So I've got some notifications coming out on my phone at the moment. Here's a bit of bleeping going on there. Yeah. It works out 30 quid. About 30 quid including coaches for the 3 coaches box there, which wasn't bad. £10 a coach now is getting hard to find. I mean, certainly on the online, and certainly some of the more modern coaches now, the highly detailed one, there's about 30, 40, 50 pound a coach. That's beyond a lot of people's pockets. And I picked these up second hand. Like I say, all 3 coaches, and they were £24.99 plus postage, so about 30 quid altogether. And the actual engine itself, I picked up for £65. It's a tender driven locomotive, but that doesn't worry me very much either. Again, I think if it was released nowadays, it would belong in the railroad range. And what I'm going to do is we're going to try this one over points yet again, and you can see how this one handles points with these coaches. And I think me giving some lubrication to the wheels of this particular one, well, to the axles at least, it's freed them up now, and it's running quite well now. This is a train. Okay, so we'll just bring her down in. And I did a review, like I said, about this particular model, the Somerset and Dorset Joint Railway Class 2P, and you can see that on my channel, so we've got a better view. But I thought I'd give it another run and let you see what it looks like with the Midland Railway coaches. Okay, they're a little bit less ornate than my GWR Claressery coaches, I'd say, but they're more, if they weren't the ones that we use on the Somerset and Dorset, at least they got the Midland Railway livery now, which is to go with a Midland Railway engine. Okay, so let's change the points now. We'll just run this one in. Oops, sorry about that, I just knocked the tripod. Okay, right. You'll get to see my videos with all the mistakes on them. The joy of like live, when you record it sort of live. Now here we go. Over the points there, and you can see this Hornby Class 2P under the points, lovely. Elegantly gliding into the platform there. perfect. And you can see LMS coaches there. Really, really, really nice. Now what we're going to do, now we're going to run our Jinty out again and give our Jinty another run, I think. And then we can wrap things up, okay? So we'll do a quick change of points. And perhaps we can imagine this particular locomotive doing a local service on the Somerset and Dorset Joint Railway. You'll probably stop at all the stations that the Point Express wouldn't stop at, like Midford, Vinegar, places like that. Okay, so let's put her into reverse and we'll just watch her see how she behaves on the points. There we go. So you can see what she's like actually reversing out of the points too, out from the junction. Right. Sorry if you heard my phone go again. I should have put it on to silent before I started filming this, but I thought it'd be such a nice idea to get this this video made and I get out in a reasonable time for you to be able to see it, possibly this evening. It's 5:30 in the afternoon on my little railway. Now I don't know if these Jintys were ever used on the branch line between Evercreech Junction and Highbridge and Burnham on Sea. Now something which I'll need to do some further research on, and perhaps I can do another update on that. I am looking at another locomotive, okay. I suddenly got an interest in the Somerset and Dorset. Well, I've had one for ages, but it's just I wanted to get some engines now. I mean, I'm mainly a Great Western collector, as you probably would have gathered. But the actual, well, the Somerset and Dorset's an interesting railway. Such an interesting railway. It started off as running between Highbridge and Glastonbury, and it was built originally so that the Clark's factory could transport their shoes. In fact, I think that the Clark family were major shareholders in the original railway. It was kind of ridiculed as a railway from nowhere to nowhere, which is a little bit unfair, I'd say, because obviously they were using it to transport a lot of goods. It was originally started off as a partnership between the Somerset Central Railway and the Bristol and Exeter Railway, which later became the Great Western Railway. And at some point along the line, I think it was after they extended the railway, they then become part of the, well, they become the Somerset and Dorset Joint Railway. They amalgamated with the Dorset Central when they extended the line as far as Cole. And then to get additional revenue, the Somerset and Dorset Joint Railway actually built an extension from Evercreech Junction all the way down to Bath Green Park, climbing over the Mendips, a lot of very, very steep gradients at 1 in 50. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap things up now because we're getting near the time limit on my camera. If you like what you watch, press like and subscribe and tick that bell, ring the bell, and if you want to see more videos from me, thank you very, very much for watching. Thank you very, very much for your interest. Oh, and thank you very much to all those who have subscribed to my channel. I shall bid you